Hello, everybody. I am Michelle Perorn, and I am thrilled to welcome you here to 15 Minutes today. Today, we are with our guest, Gayelynn McKinney, who is a Detroit music institution. She's a drummer, a composer, a teacher, and daughter of the legendary jazz pianist Harold McKinney and the vocalist Gayelynn McKinney. She's played with the best of the best. In fact, Gayelynn was Aretha Franklin's last drummer for the last few years of her life. She also co-founded one of the greatest all-female bands, as far as I'm concerned, called Straight Ahead, for which she received a Grammy nomination. And Gayelynn is also the Kresge Artist Fellow from 2014. So I'm thrilled to have 15 minutes with Gayelynn today. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great, Michelle. How you doing?
Good, hon. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
So I'm really interested in this. Legend has it that you started playing the drums when you were age 2, which I think is hysterical. What did your parents tell you about that? I mean, the noise. I mean, were you banging on your high chair or what? What's that story?
Well, it started because my mother recognized that when I was at the dinner table that I was constantly beating on her table with my knife and fork, which of course did not go over very well.
Right.
They decided to, go ahead and buy me a drum kit that I clearly remember very well, and it was a little sparkly orange kit, and it had paper thin heads on it, and was trash can cymbals, and it was really it was a cute little kid. I remember it clearly like it was yesterday. And after about a week of hitting on those drums, I tore up the drum heads and the cymbals were cracked, and and so my father went out and bought some more drum heads. Actually, I don't know how he managed to find real drum heads to fit this little drum kit. He managed to find it somehow, and he put those on. And I played on that kit until I was about 9.
Oh, wow.
And then of course I was too big, so they went and bought me a big girl kit.
Uh-huh.
and I
great.
Continued from there.
I mean, female drummers are the coolest. There's Sheila E., there's Karen Carpenter, Meg White,
Yes.
Terry Lynn Carrington.
Yes.
I'm curious, are there any female drummers that maybe we don't know about, we've never heard of, that you're interested in, that have been mentors for you?
Honestly, it's funny you said Sheila E. The two drummers that kept me going. One of them was Terry Lynn Carrington, because when I was about 10, I was actually considering quitting, because back then, when I tell you I was very alone, being a girl playing the drums,
sure.
I had no other girls to look at that playing the drums. I thought I was the only one in the world, at 10 years old. I was like, there's nobody else doing this but me.
Yeah, right.
And so, I got a lot of flack sometimes from my peers, not from my father's generation. They were supportive, right. But my generation of peers were, really lashing at me for you're not supposed to play this instrument. It's for boys,
Exactly right.
And the last straw was actually that very statement when I was standing at the bus stop. This little girl, I heard you play the drums. Face was all tore up. And you're not supposed. I said, yeah, I do play the drums. She said, well, drums are for boys. You're not supposed to be playing those. And I said, well, I like playing the drums, and I'm a girl.
You showed her.
Oh my gosh! So I was really considering quitting. I said, because I was playing saxophone too. So I said, maybe I'll just play the saxophone. I'll leave the drums alone, because I'm getting tired of that. So my father, who had just gone to New York, he came back, and he was all excited. Now, he had no idea how I was feeling. And he was all excited. And he said, ooh, I saw another little girl playing the drums. She was about 8 years old. I said, really? I said, he said, yeah, she was playing with Clark Terry. I was like, oh, wow. I said, what's her name? And he said, Terry Lynn Carrington.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
Yeah. And
Wow.
that was the beginning of me knowing that, well, thank God, it's some other girl playing drums besides me.
Exactly.
And,
Yep.
and then it became, hey, there's another girl playing drums besides me. Let me go practice.
Right. So wasn't it around that time that you had a interesting interaction with Max Roach, who was
Yep.
visiting your dad?
Yeah, 10 years old was it was a year that was very integral in my development as a drummer.
So what happened?
So with that, my father had many musicians coming over. Well, not actually, I can't say many. He had a group of musicians that came over every day for rehearsal. And the drummer was usually George Davison. But this particular day was someone I didn't know. So, he was tall and lanky and had a, really nice stick bag. And I said, oh, he's a drummer. So he sat down at the dining room table, and I went right over there. Kids don't have a sense of personal space. So I went right over there and sat in the chair next to him, really close, like right up on his shoulder. In fact, I might have been touching his shoulder. And he looked at me out the side of his eye. And I said, He had opened his drumstick bag. And I said, ooh, those are red. So he had some red drumsticks. And I said,
Wow.
ooh. And he looked at me, he didn't say anything. And I said, hey, can I have those? he said, and he looked at me, he said, you want my drumsticks? I said, yes. He said, what you gonna do with my drumsticks, girl? I said, I'm gonna play with them. So he said, okay, I'm gonna give you my drumsticks, but you're gonna listen to me first. And I said, okay, that sounds fair. Drumsticks, all I gotta do is listen. That sounds good. So he said, I want you to remember the melodies of every song. And my face kind of got, puzzled. Yeah. And I said, why I got to remember the melodies? And he said, because most drummers just think about the rhythm. I want you to think about the melodies too. Oh, and wow. I said, why? He said, because if you think about the melodies, you'll learn the song better. And when you take drum solos, people will know where you are. Huh. And I said, oh. And, I play saxophone, so it made sense to think about melodies for sax, but it just, for some reason, it didn't compute playing drums. But when he said that, it was like a aha moment. And there was a moment of silence. And then I tapped him on his shoulder and said, hey, can I have those sticks? And he said, go on, take these sticks, girl, get on out of here. I love it. I played those sticks with those sticks every day until they were piles of toothpicks. No, girl, I tore them sticks up. Oh my God. I played with those sticks every single day until they were chipped pieces of woods on the floor. Wow. And of course, later I found out who he was. That was a funny story too. I couldn't believe it. I was 17 and flipping through a jazz book with a friend of mine who's a drummer, and landed on this page, and I'm staring at this picture and reading, and I said, oh my God, that's the guy who played with drumsticks. Oh, my friend thought I was crazy. I said, I'm telling you, this man gave me drumsticks when I was 10, and he told me to remember the melodies of every song. Wow. So it was, and I had a chance to tell him that later too, when Straight Ahead opened up for him. At the State Theater. I told him that what he said became a very important part of my style of drumming. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you've performed not only with Aretha Franklin, of course, but Chaka Khan and Martha Reeves and Marcus Belgrave, James Carter, David Fathead Newman, Freda Payne. I love that. But you opened for Nina Simone early in your career, and I want to know all about that. Wow, that was an amazing thing that happened. Straight Ahead had gone to Switzerland on an exchange program. This was before we got signed to Atlantic Records. we had gone to Switzerland on an exchange program. A group from Switzerland came to Detroit for our festival, which was called Montreaux at that time.
Right.
And then we went to Switzerland for their Montreaux. So we were rehearsing at this hotel in a room, and we were supposed to play this little club in Switzerland for the festival, you know. And so this person, we still don't, to this day, don't know who it was, heard us practicing, and told Claude Knobs, who was the director of the festival at the time, and told him that, wow, this band really sounds great, blah, 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 blah. And next thing we know, he comes to us and says, oh, you guys are going to open up on the main stage at Montreaux. You're going to open more for Nina Simone.
Oh,
what?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God.
Whatever you say.
Oh man, the five of us, we were ecstatic and horrified at the same time.
Sure. Yeah. What was she
because
like?
She was, we had a chance to meet her at a gathering the day after the performance, which was very successful for us. And I saw her sitting in a lounge chair, and I sauntered over there and I sat down next to her, and I said, hey, you know, I just want to tell you that I'm such an admirer of your music and a fan of what you say in your music, you know. And she looked over at me. She had this really intense look on her face that was, you know, filled with a lot of
going on in there.
I know. Hold on one second. Sorry.
That's okay.
It was it was filled with a lot of emotion. Her face was really filled with emotion and deepness. Like she just had so much that had gone on in her life, and she didn't say much to me. She said, "Oh, thank you." Wow. And that was all she said. And then I sat there for a few minutes more because I wanted to talk. You know, I wanted to talk to her more, but I could tell that she was not really interested in having a conversation. I felt like she wanted to be alone. So I gave her space and politely got up and walked away. Yeah. But she was real intense. Like she had been through, it felt like she had really been through a lot. I could feel it in her persona.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you're playing, I'm not a musician, so I have no way of even connecting with this concept, but what's going through your head when you're playing? Are you counting, or are you just sort of in a trance?
You could say I'm in a trance, but you know, most people who've seen me play, a lot of times I play with my eyes closed, and when I'm playing with my eyes closed, you know how they say when you lose a sense, when you lose I know. You know when they say that when when you lose a sensory one of your senses, the other senses
are enhanced.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I close my eyes while I'm playing, it allows me to hear the music better, and it's like I can hear each individual. I can hear each individual person that's playing, and it allows me to get in tune with what they're doing and play off of what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And also it does kind of take you into a trance. I can't keep them closed because I might miss a cue, but but while I have them closed, that's what's happening. I'm really listening and checking out what's going on.
Yeah. You know, I mean, you play a lot of different kinds of music, you know, jazz, R&B, and hip hop and rock. Is there a different mindset or a different kind of language for different genres of music?
Yeah. Yes, it is. You know, when you're when I'm playing jazz is, I guess jazz would be well, I'm not gonna say, yeah, it is my favorite, but I love playing all styles of music. I really do. I get something out of all of it, but jazz is my favorite because it's the most expressive. It's the most expressive, and you can improvise more within jazz. So jazz is my favorite, but playing a nice groove that makes people dance is good too. You know, I love doing that too. Just staying in a pocket and just, you know, making the groove funky and hooking up with the bass player, and we're just laying down a funky groove. That's fun to do too. There's a lot of fun.
Well, you make people move. I mean, what you do, it actually makes people move, which is the backbone of, you know, any music.
That's right. So we have to, without the bass and drums, you'll be all right, but it's not quite the same.
Exactly. So do you have like a favorite part of the drum kit?
Oh, wow. That's a really interesting question. I probably would say the toms. I think my toms are probably one of my favorite parts of the instrument, because the toms are the melodic part of the instrument. The toms have
back to the Max Roach.
Right.
You know,
that's the part of the drums to me that communicates the most, or allows me to communicate the most with people and my audience. You know, so I would say the toms. Yeah.
Okay. And last question: who was your first musical crush?
Okay.
You can be honest. No judgment.
Has nothing to do with jazz either. Well, no, I'm not. I am not gonna say that because I'm not gonna say that because he had elements of jazz, and he was a genius as well. But honestly, it was Prince.
Oh, right on. Right on. Wow.
Yeah.
So much better than mine. Mine's embarrassing. David Cassidy.
David Cassidy? Yes, David Cassidy. That's
I like
cool
Prince
too.
a lot better. Good for you. Wow. You know, there's so much more to talk about. We'll have to do another 15 minutes, but it's been 15 minutes. So we're going to sign off and wish you the best. I know you've got a new single coming out soon, right?
Yes. I'm waiting on CD Baby to finish doing their inspections and release it to the digital world, and it will be out as soon as they do that.
Excellent. So maybe this summer.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. All right, Gayelynn. It's always fun to talk with you, my little Cancer friend.
Yes.
Cancerian. We're both Cancerians. And thank you so much for giving us 15 minutes of your time. And thank you for watching today.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you.